be going live just in the next 30-40 seconds. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, this evening, for the third parliamentary session of the World Teen Parliament. In the last 1 year, the World Teen Parliament got registrations from nearly 72,000 teenagers from across the world. And the top 100 teenagers who finally became the members of Parliament got nearly 235,610 votes. On the basis of that, these 100 teenagers became the members of Parliament of the World Teen Parliament. They've all started working on their own ideas and their own answers to the question that how will they improve the world? They've been doing webinars, they've been doing awareness talks, they've been talking to teens around them to bring together and assimilate what does the teenager really want. They will be creating one of the biggest repositories of teen opinion ever created on the face of this earth. We are trying to take their opinions to all the forums that should and that must recognize teenagers as a valid and respectable stakeholder in policy making, in decision making, in every aspect of whether you say legislation, whether you take it as policy making, whether it's problem solving, because we very, very, very deeply believe in a very simple idea that these teenagers can really cut the clutter and solve global problems far, far, far easily than most of us as adults. Thank you so much once again for joining us for the third parliamentary session of the World Teen Parliament. A very warm welcome to our amazing guests, Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar and Mrs. Nandita Singhal. These two people come from a very deep understanding of how do corporates interact with community and how does the community interact with governments. So they bring in a very unique experience of how things come together when you try to scale something up or try to create a policy change from an aspect where it will impact not just thousands, but millions of people across the world. Thank you so much to all the guests today for joining us. Let me invite the first speaker for today. And as the process goes ahead, our MPs will be asking them questions, trying to understand from them what do they think that what a teen can really do and what are their expectations from our members of Parliament of the World Teen Parliament. A very warm welcome to the first guest. He's somebody who's right now the Director of External Affairs and Partnerships for SOA for Reckitt, which is one of the biggest FMCG brands across the globe. He has an experience with the Clinton Health Access Initiative, with the Population Services International. He also was a team leader for TSU for the World Bank. So he very deeply understands these synergies and how do they really play out in the world around us. So a very warm welcome to Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar. Sir, over to you to address our teen MPs at the third parliamentary session of the World Teen Parliament.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, kids. It's so good to see you formally dressed up, many of you. And it's a late evening in India. And I know like a lot of people have joined from other countries too. Warm welcome to each one of you. Thank you so much. Your opinion matters, I must tell you. And the kids' opinion is very, very important opinion I can especially tell you for the fast-moving consumer goods sector. We can also say it like the FMCG sector. So we are the ones who actually work on the various programs with the kids across the globe. We think like kids like you or the MPs who are selected, shortlisted out of thousands, hundreds of you. You are the ones who will be the torch bearers of success. You will be taking the ideas and the inspiration forward. You will be seen as the best in class examples. Some of you will become the role models, and many of you will solve the real time world problems and the global affair problems. Before we start, I want each one of us actually close our eyes for 1 minute And we pray for those who have lost their lives during this Russia-Ukraine conflict and this war. So after that, then we started. Thank you. Thank you. So great. Great to meet you all. And thank you so much for being with me. And, we all prayed for the world peace. We all pray for doing good. As we are selected MPs, our role and responsibility is very huge. We come from various religions, we come from various faiths, we come from various cities, we come from various continents. But one thing unites us, that's peace. That's basically, the global affairs, how we have to be together. And your voice really matters. And I personally think like each one of you have huge potential to reach out, to do outreach. And if you have support like from the Bulb, this whole network, Daksh and all, I'm very sure like, you'll be heard more positively. I've been the student leader in my college days. I have a very interesting journey. I come from a village from Punjab. And I studied in Pilani, which is in Rajasthan in India, in a boarding from class 1st to 12th. Like many of you may be studying in the boarding too. Then went to Chennai, again in the boarding, did my honors in economics from there. Post that, I went to Bombay in Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and then got a full scholarship from the GRD Tata Scholarship Trust. And I went to the Harvard Business School. And today I'm in front of you. And I'm very sure like many of you will be having a lot of questions about the things, but are already in your mind. But my simple advice to you as an MP is like, there needs to be very high governance structures. As a person, we need to be very honest. Say a lot of people actually give advice to the others. I personally think like first we all need to work on ourselves. How deeply we are engaged with the self and what's happening to our self-consciousness. Is our self-consciousness good enough? Should we work on that together? Maybe like some of you may be needing the mentors. Some of you may already have the mentors. And I'm very sure like, the organizers of this program will be looking after to get you more mentors and, putting a fast track program for you, although this is the third program. But every time I have my mentors when I was in class 12th. I have my mentors from graduation when I was doing my bachelor's. There's a long way to go for each one of us. And your role really excites and fascinates me. Because when I was studying, we never had anything like this. So this is a very unique opportunity. Student politics is very different, but the things what you guys are going to do, and you have plans. So that will be great and will be, looked out by others also. Each one of us has individual responsibility. Then, all of us together have the collective responsibility. Our voices are heard. Our voices are heard at the right platform. We are the champions of change. We're the ones like, who put the things in perspective. And a lot of times we say like, what can I do? A big question strikes to our mind, like alone, what can I do? Just to give you a very recent example of Black Lives Matters, it was also started by one person. It went to individuals, it went to the country, it went to the continents. Then the world became a platform for that. And that's a recent campaign which comes to at the back of my mind, like, how big that campaign actually became. It was for the rights of the blacks and the darker skins, and all the prejudice, all the things which were happening against them. And the world started getting united, resulting into a big campaign, concrete actions by the governments at the federal level, at the state level, at the national level, at international level. And it's very interesting to see, like, from one person thought it became community thought, and from the community thought it became the global thought. Second best in class example, if I can tell you, is it's about there was a campaign called Me Too, where women started raising the voice against those who assaulted the women, who were actually doing all the hanky panky with the women in the various parts of the world. And the Me Too campaign, it reached India also. A lot of senior, Bollywood, Hollywood, doctors, engineers, women from various different lives, actually, they all came together, and the whole hashtag started trending. That was Me Too campaign. Again, it was started by someone like you, someone like me. It became global. And like we just had 3 days back, like on 8th of March, like we had the International Women's Day. Someone was asking me a question like, Ravi, what is your thought on the International Women's Day? Someone came to me and was telling me about, this day. This day is for the empowering the women. Someone told me something else. Someone told me, like, this day is very important. We should all celebrate this day. Someone told me, like, each day should be the Women's Day. Uh, Very, very interesting thoughts from various nooks and corners. Uh, but what I say to all the women leaders, all the women MPs on this group is something which is very, very simple. I say, and this will be my concluding thing for you, and after that, you can ask me the questions. On this International Women's Day and every other day, don't use the word like empower and celebrate. Instead, use the words like hire, promote, pay, raise, fund, invest in, enrich, give equity, elect, lead, and mind it. Don't just say it, do it. So with this, like, I would love to say, like, thank you so much for inviting me, and it's really great. Like, I'm in mid of all of you. I also want to give you a small reminder to all the MPs. Guys, we all are sitting in our comfortable chairs at our house, formally dressed up. We have best of the gadgets. We have best of the technologies. Today, this is a time I'm also in mid of the kids like you who are homeless. I'm in a shelter home in Jaipur in Rajasthan, where I'm meeting all these kids. And I'm very sure something like this teen parliament, what we are doing here, where you are the MPs, I will discuss with the founders of this organization, of this shelter home, where the small kids who are homeless, who have no parents, who are single orphans, double orphans, maternal orphans, paternal orphans, uh, how to also create a structure like the structure what you are in as MPs, because they also have voices to be heard. And I'm very sure with the organizers of this today's whole program, I will be discussing this with them, and maybe like this also seeds a very important conversation with those also who are out of school, because most of you are in schools. So these are the kids who are out of school kids, many of them, and some of them actually go to schools too. But great, thank you so much, and over to you for all the questions, and to the moderator or what next is. Thank you again. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Ravi sir, for giving us an insight into how do you think campaigns amplify, how they reach from a single individual through a single hashtag to countries and to continents, and how do corporates look at it? Because whenever people talk about scaling something up, they always look at the current behemoths, that how can they support things. And I think you very nicely gave us the terminology that has to be used now. Don't say empowerment, say that you're going to invest in things, say that you're going to fund things, because if you want things to move, you will have to provide them with the right kind of resources. So we are also trying our best to get all these MPs the kind of resources that they can most wisely use on not just empowerment, but really enriching lives across the globe. This is the reason that right now these teenagers are doing a very important task of outreaching to every single teenager and asking them, what do they really want? We are trying to assimilate teen opinion, and then we'll be trying to work with these teenagers on meeting their aspirations with whatever connections, with whatever fund, with whatever resources we have at the World Teen Parliament. Thank you so much, Ravi, sir. So let's now listen to the second guest for today, and then it's an open Q&A round for all our MPs to ask the questions. Before I invite the next guest, there's something I would like to tell all of you about the next guest. The next guest comes from a very big, not just very big, a very enriched corporate house or a big corporate family. They are in varied businesses. They're very well known within a lot of ecosystems. And the lady who has taken out the time to be here with us is an advisor of the World Teen Parliament. She has been guiding us and holding us in creating the World Teen Parliament. She has a very keen and deep interest in the field of education, has been experimenting a lot with education and local heritage and culture through their organizations. And individually, I think I remember one conversation with her where she mentioned a very important thing: build the practice of questioning everything. Don't believe in things the way they already are. And I think this is something that all the MPs should learn. Question everything at every point of time, because authority is something that you define and it's a perception that you create. So keep the control within your own hands and keep questioning everything. A very warm welcome to Ms. Nandita Singhal, the board member of Secure Meters. Nandita, ma'am, over to you. Thank you so much for joining us, and a very warm welcome.
Thank you. Namaste to everyone. To those who are not from India or have Indian ancestry, Namaste is a very Indian greeting. And since I'm from here, this is the way I choose to greet you. When Divya and Daksh told me that they want me to speak to you, many thoughts went through my mind, and I, thought about what I should say. But actually, I needn't have thought such a lot. Ravi ji, what you have said today has blown my mind. One, I can only imagine the dedication and the hard work you had to put in to achieve what you have achieved. Please accept my, humble gratitude for creating examples like this for this teen parliament to follow. The second thing, Raviji, you said, and it's really close to my heart, it's, I feel a lot of times when people say that women need to be empowered, it kind of worries me, and I don't know why. Because I'm sure a lot of the young ladies on the teen parliament feel the same as me. We really feel empowered. We feel, in fact, we feel that we have the power. Nobody needs to give it to us. We feel we have the words to express what we want to do. Nobody needs to give that to us. I think what we really need, and where we need change, is that people need to accept that women have equal abilities, and they should be allowed to fill the space that they want to. And nobody should want to choose our space for us. So if I want to remain a housewife, that's purely my choice. And actually, it's really interesting. I had never thought of it like that until my daughter growing up one day told me, Mom, when you give us one choice, why do you take another one away? And it's really then that I started thinking. So the context, I must give you the context because you young girls won't understand. But she is very fond of wearing the sari. But as she was growing up, everybody said, you look much younger in Western clothes and you must wear those. And she came to me one day and she said, yes, I do wear Western clothes. But why are you taking the choice of wearing the sari away from me? Let me be the arbiter of what I want to wear. So that really got me thinking about how sometimes what society does is that it creates certain roles for women. This woman is high flying, so she must be working. This woman wears a sari, so she must be a teacher. This lady talks in Hindi, therefore she may not understand IT. These are the boxes, and men are never put into those boxes. A man can turn up in a kurta pajama and still be, fully respected in a proper business which has technology at its core, right? But these questions get asked of women. And I think this is the change we want to bring. So thank you, Raviji, for reminding me that these are really important issues. And actually, it would be lovely if the young girls and the boys in our team start to articulate these things. Now, I had really thought that I'll talk about change because actually at the moment, this is my real, the bug in my brain. And it's change and how we react to one element of change at a time. We do not see that if we make change in one area, how it impacts the other areas. And I had sent a note to Divya, which I hope she circulated to the MPs, because what I would really like them to do is to talk about that. And Daksh, while I told you that we must always question change, but we must always question why some rituals have existed before wanting to change them. And there's a beautiful saying from Tolkien. And, many of you would have read that book because I know it's like the thing to do to read Lord of the Rings. And he says, much that once was is lost. For none now live who remember it. And world over, we are finding that important pieces of the puzzle of how we should deal with the ecosystem on Earth are disappearing with a whole bunch of people who are no longer with us. And, I'm very keen that this, the teens, the youth of our time starts to think about, question what is happening, but also question why it has existed for so long. And also question, should we take it forward or is it time to change? Yeah. So I want to end with just saying a big hello to all of you, wishing all of you the best. And, I know you'll all go far. I know all of you will find a real place for yourself where you make a difference in the world. And it doesn't, like Raviji said, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to think big. I always feel small baby steps. That's all we need to take. And everything follows. So all the best to all of you. Thank you very much, Raviji. And thank you, Daksh and Divya, for inviting me. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much, Nandita ma'am. I think you added a very good aspect to the complete thing, that question everything, but at the same time, delve a little deeper into why do customs exist if they're there, and if they have a life, there is a reason behind it that they still exist. So always delve deeper into understanding the reason behind things, and still you can question them. Don't hold your questions, but always delve a little bit deeper, read a little bit more about whatever is going on around you. So now it's time where the MPs ask the questions. So MPs, be ready. Let me invite the first Member of Parliament to ask a question to Mrs. Nandita Singhal. Preksha Mahesh. Preksha, please unmute yourself and your question. Okay, I think she's facing, okay, Preksha has just come in again with some technical issues. So we'll go back to Preksha. The next question actually is for Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar, that comes from Carla Torre Costa from Spain, our Member of Parliament from Spain. Carla, over to you. Please unmute yourself and your question for Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar.
Hi, hello.
Hola.
First of all, I wanted to thank you for being here and for talking to us because it's such an honor that you have studied and in every school you have studied. What has been the most useful thing that you have learned throughout your entire life? Thank you.
Very, very interesting question. The most important thing is the trust. Trusting self so much uh, so that you can change the world. And it starts with the self. That's what I have learned. And in the business also, it's my almost 2 decades of business experience. Trust is a fundamental thing for each success. What you get. So that's what I have learned. And gaining trust takes a lot of time. And we should strive to gain trust. Thank you.
I think Preksha is here. Preksha, your question for Ms. Nandita Singhal. Preksha, you can unmute yourself.
Good evening, ma'am. My question to you, because you are I think, a very popular leader and a very successful one. My question would be that what is that one quality, one important quality that all leaders should have that will make them successful?
Sorry. Thanks a lot, Preksha, and namaste. I don't know. So it's really interesting that you asked me this question because a few weeks ago, I read an interview of a person who led a very big advertising group in England. And he said that one of my mentors asked me to find out what the qualities of a leader were. And he said, I sat down one weekend and I made a big list of all the leaders I had met during when I did my work in my company, and I put their names down, and then I put down the qualities against them. And he said, I found very few qualities in common. But the one thing I found is that the leader was very sure of who he was, and he brought that quality to the workplace. So it kind of ties in with what Raviji said, that first you have to trust yourself, and you can only trust yourself when you know yourself fully. And when you trust that, it's that quality you bring to the people you are working with. And because you bring that quality and you bring the best of you, that's what allows you to become a leader. I hope that answers your question. It's a little bit convoluted, but yeah, it's the best way I knew how to answer it.
Thank you so much, Nandita ma'am. The next question comes from MP Archita Verma. The question is for Mrs. Nandita Singhal. Archita, you can unmute yourself. Archita, are you there on the call?
I think people are having difficulty. Should we switch off the videos while we are not doing calls, because it might give us a little more bandwidth? I don't know. What do you feel, Daksh?
We can, I think, but right now it's all right.
It's okay.
But,
okay.
it's okay. As of now, it's okay. I think we'll like go to the next question. The next question comes from.
Sorry, sir. Excuse me.
Yeah, Archita, please.
Sorry, sir. Yeah, sir, I was facing some connectivity issues, so I cannot, put my video on. But my question to ma'am was that, ma'am, what is more important, like stopping the deforestation or afforestation? Like, what is more important? We should plant more trees or firstly we should stop cutting the trees more?
Yeah. So, Archita, it's a very interesting question. And in the circles of forestry, there are 2 or 3 debates that are going on. One debate is, where do you put your resources? Is it in deforestation, in controlling deforestation? Is it in reforestation? Is it in rewilding? And is it in removing invasive species? And I've been having a lot of debates with a lot of people. There's one more question that I need to throw in there. And that is, when we are doing either, are we also thinking of what was here before? So was this actually really a forest? Was this a grassland? Was it scrub? Sorry to just stop. Daksh, for some reason, people entering their requests are coming to me.
Technical team, please check.
So I think now my view is that you have to be very careful and you have to choose according to the circumstances. For example, when we started our work in Udaipur, everybody told us plant trees, and that's the most important thing. Until last year, we had a fire in the 78 acres that we are planting. And I realized, looking at the nature of the fire, that actually that area was most likely a grassland. Because when the fire left us, the nature of the fire was such that it had all the landmarks of a grassland fire. And then when the fire kind of died down and things started re-emerging, what emerged were newer grasses. So obviously the fire took care of everything that wasn't meant to be there, and dormant seeds and suckers of grasses came up, right? So when we've got some more area, we are now looking at making that into a grassland, right? Now, yes, we must stop deforestation. We must also reforest. And if our lands have seeds in them, we can also allow rewilding. But the only way we'll succeed in any of these is if we take into account the livelihoods of the people who live around these areas, and we cannot take into account their livelihoods unless we actually bring them into our program. So, we need to tell them, please come and join us, talk to us, tell us. And that's one way that we will get hold of all the old knowledge that exists. Right? Now, just to give you an example, today I was walking around my garden and we have these frangipani trees. And there was a little collection of what looked like a funny growth to me. And I was just telling my gardener, we need to cut this. Is this the right time to cut? So he's telling me, why are you cutting it? This is just a collection of roots that it's giving out. And very soon they'll dry. So they have an instinctive understanding of nature, which we do not have. And Archita, to answer your question, they then guide us about whether we should be, stopping deforestation, whether we should be reforesting, whether we should be rewilding, or whether we should be focusing on getting rid of invasives. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nandita ma'am. The next question is for Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar from Anushka Pawar. Anushka, over to you. You can unmute yourself.
Good evening, sir. My question is how can teenagers develop his or her thinking abilities?
Very, very interesting question. I will give you a very non-academic reply to this. Observe more, see more, think more, and be active, because we use our minds very less. and our minds are too occupied with a lot of homeworks what we have to do from the school. Some of us also read, fiction. Some of us read literature. Some of us read art. Read more. But one thing, don't get mature before your age. Yeah, that's my advice. And by the virtue of education, we need to be better human beings first, and rest all will follow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
The next question comes from Bhavneet Talwar. Bhavneet, over to you.
Hello everyone. My name is Bhavneet Talwar. I'm from Delhi Public School, Bangalore East, and my question is for Miss Nandita ma'am. Ma'am, firstly, you're truly an inspiration, and it was great hearing you speak so passionately about this issue. My question is, how do you think your higher studies after the 12th grade affected your current career path, and what advice you will give to us teenagers while we ourselves are making our decisions on what streams and paths we're going to choose in the future?
Bhavneet, you have no idea what question you asked me. I was a pure sciencey in school, and my parents told me all the science colleges in India are co-ed and you can't go there. So I got admission in LSR, in Eco Honors and in Commerce, and I tossed a coin because I wasn't really interested in either. The coin fell on BCom, so I joined BCom and I was bored out of my skull. So all I did was play hockey, tennis, and I ran for the school, for the college. So Sara time, everything went in sport. And then I got married and I had 3 kids. So I think my real learning was looking after the house and bringing up 3 children. It was my biggest school. It was my biggest college. It was my biggest, master's program. And while I was doing that, we moved to England for a few years. So I used to live in a joint family, and I moved to England, and the kids were busy in their school. So I said, let me study something that I can do at home. And guess the course that I got. That was also an accounting course. So I cleared all the exams, but I could never clear my practicals. So that was a major fail. And till today, I cannot read a balance sheet. Cool. So you can see my education has been of no use so far. And then I got an opportunity to do some marketing work in my husband's business. So I walked in to write the script for one movie, corporate movie. And I slowly, I kind of started working there full time, and I worked there for the longest time and did all my learning while working. But I loved the field of design and marketing. That was just like my, it was something amazing. I absolutely adored it. And then when my husband retired, I left work as well. But by that time, we had started Dharohara Foundation. And within the foundation, I took up the work of tree planting. And that too by, just by accident, really. So the one thing that I'll tell you, and I've learned along. So one thing I'll tell you, never be bogged down with what you have studied. It doesn't matter. All it's doing is giving you skills. Okay. Those skills you can use wherever, right? It gave me the skills to read a balance sheet, but I still can't. That's besides the point. But that's really the truth. And the world just throws learning at your feet. When you want to learn, then people just come by and teach you. I don't know how it happens. Right? So yeah, my higher education did not help me at all. And that is the short answer to your question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That's really something different I've heard from what I've normally heard from adults around me. And it's very interesting to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Would love to chat with you on that because I have a lot of experiences in this area. of I have an entire family who studied something and are doing something else.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nandita ma'am. The next question is from Devansh Agarwal. Devansh, over to you.
Yes. So my question is to Mr. Ravi sir. Sir, firstly, I truly liked and appreciate whatever you told about the issue. So, sir, my question to you is that I heard that you opened the first World Toilet College in India. So, what was your main motive behind to establish the college in Rishikesh, and what were the problems you had to face for opening the same in India?
Thank you so much for doing quite a research on the work what I have done. Yes, India is still a country where, it's a great country, but sometimes there are certain populations which live below dignity. And one of those population sets I was reviewing, I have been to many countries. I have seen, people talk about West, how the sanitation systems are there. I've seen the dignity of labor to some extent. I will not say fully, but let's look into this very seriously in India. How big is the problem? Then we found the problem is really very big. Like these people do actually the manual squenging work, where they have to lift the shit of the head. So I was very I was just thinking anyone who's doing that, how he or she will be actually taking care of the family, how the person will be actually taking care of the education of the kids. What's the way for looking it from the livelihood angle? We increase the personal disposable income of these guys and we bring them out just not from the poverty, but from this menial work. People say no work is menial, but this is a very, very humane work to load someone's shit on our hand and cleaning the toilets. That should not happen. And, somewhere coming from, my education in TIS has also helped me a lot to actually work on this. And I started seeing the champions. Who all are the champions in this? I happened to meet Dr. Pathak, who is from the Sulabh Shauchalaya. So he's a guy who has created, a lot of Sulabh Shauchalayas across India. I asked him, how you do it, how you manage it. He says, we make it and we run the show. I said, but what happens to the manual squengers? So there is a program for that. They said, government has a policy. I said, great thing. So let me attempt a college for the manual squengers, where I promised to myself, I will be bringing them out of this menial work of manual squenging. God has been very kind to me. And now earlier when I started, it was one World Toilet College. Last year, I scaled World Toilet Colleges in 6 states. And 2022, it will be in 15 states in India, including in Rajasthan, in Jaipur. So we have a partner in Jaipur. It's called Tabar. They do a lot of work with the kids who are actually out of school kids. They do a lot of shelter home. And today I'm taking this call from that shelter home where I'm sitting. So I'm very pleased. I have seen from 7,000 rupees job of taking the shit out of the shit hole and putting on the hand and cleaning, to actually putting all these people. There is 100% job placement of everyone. So we have trained them for hospitality services. We have trained these guys. Many of them are there on the channels like Urban Clap, so that no one asks them about their second name. India has a big problem of asking the second name. Like my name is Ravi Bhatnagar. I go to many places. People still ask me, okay, what Ravi? So tell me complete, what does it mean? Or, for Nandita ji, so Nandita Singhal. So when you do a lot of work, when you bring the technology as a play, we were able to actually reduce the second name problem, and you can just choose your service provider. And when the service provider is at your doorstep, you can't say, I will not take the service from this person, because you have already paid for that service many times, So the 100% placement took place. We trained around 7,000 manual squengers. And by the way, last year, the Vice President of India and the head of the UN Women, Susan Ferguson, and many other esteemed people across the globe actually helped us curate 101 stories of hope. And by the way, Nandita ma'am, it's for all of our consumption. I'm able to give 2 Padam Shris. I'm never a Padam Shri. I don't know how much time it will take. Two manual squengers have become the Padam Shri from the World Toilet College, where we invested very heavily. And one Padam Shri has come this year for the sanitation from Tamil Nadu. And the first one came from Delhi, which was a year back. So I'm very sure like we will be having a cadre of people from here. And now we are scaling up in Jaipur also. And you, Nandita ji, you are in Udaipur, I believe.
Yes.
I will get more opportunity to meet you and to all these parliamentary forum members, the young guys. So plenty can be done, but we have to start from the smaller steps, and then you can make it grand. From a total of training 100 manual squengers to now training 25,000 manual squengers and giving them dignified jobs. And and what has changed for them is they are now able to send their kids to the schools.
Mm-hmm.
We have high-speed internet services for this 18 months, which was a COVID period also. When you were learning as a child parliamentarians at your home, we had our, World Toilet Colleges open in the evening so that the kids of the manual squengers can come. They can use the internet facilities there. There is a free food for everyone, especially, the mangoes, apples, bananas, all the seasonal fruits, and a lot of crayons, colors, pens, pencils. And I invite you all. We will be in 15 states. I invite the World Teen Parliament members who are there in various states in India to visit few of the World Toilet Colleges. We have right now one in Patiala in Punjab. We have one in Rishikesh. We have one in Aurangabad. We have one in Kerala. We have one in Tamil Nadu. We have one in Andhra. And you will be seeing more coming up. And we will informing you if you plan to visit, please do visit. And it's your own zeal. You want to pick something like dignity, for the corporates. Dignity is sometimes we talk about the people who are internally important to us, or the customers, or the consumers. But talking about, the communities, working with the last mile, working with the, like in Rajasthan itself, if I talk about Rajasthan, so you have a lot of, tribes in Rajasthan, which are still denotified tribes. They really need us. Same is the case with Madhya Pradesh. Same is the case with other places in India, including, I'm very fortunate, like in my career, I was able to work with, the late, Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. And I created the Amma canteens for the state. They're still running. And, it's great. We all can bring the change, and you have a lot of potentials. All of you, actually. Sorry, my answer was really lengthy.
Thank you so much, Ravi, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So the next question comes from MP Shuchi Laha. All the MPs, please introduce yourself before you ask the question. Shuchi Laha, please unmute yourself.
I hope I'm audible. So namaskar everyone, this is Shuchi Laha from Glory High School, Gwalior. I'm a member of parliament from group 7. So you talked about different initiatives, the initiatives which I've been really into, and ma'am talked about things which I can relate to. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity where I can talk to people about the initiatives which are very close to my heart. Talking about initiatives, how can we, the teen MPs and influencers, contribute and partner up with WASH initiatives and implement it in ways which
I've lost you. Can't hear you. Sorry.
So should I repeat the question?
Yeah, please.
So how can we, the teen MPs and influencers, contribute and partner up with WASH initiatives and implement it in ways which are possible for us?
Very interesting question. First is raising the, I will tell you something, a very interesting thing. In English, we say my 10 yards. Secondly, in Hindi, we say mere 10 gaj, means, my 10 steps. It's important to actually do something on the lines of hygiene and sanitation first in our 10 yards. If we can strengthen the work in our immediate surroundings in our 10 yards, world will change. And if other people also join you in the movement, when all the parliamentarians, like all the MPs, we all work on together, Just imagine the strength of this. So if there are 100 of us here, and we are talking about actually, my 10 yards. So with all of you put together, at least I have a confidence of 10,000 yards in India will be taken care by all of us. And if this 10,000 yards is being done by us, there will be a lot of people who will be coming near to you and will be taking care of you and will be associating with you. So definitely there's a power which lies in all of us, each one of us, and we need to take some concrete actions at our front first, and believing into ourselves, trusting ourselves. I can take care of my 10 yards, and then this whole becomes a big network of 10,000 yards, which we as a group can actually work on together. That's what my thinking is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ravi sir. The next question comes from Samiksha Tomar. Samiksha, please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir, and good evening, everyone. My question is for Nandita. So, it's so pleasant to listen to you, and you are so good, and I'm already a fan of yours. And so, I would like to ask you the question as it is: how, as a woman, you got inspired for a big dream, or what skills and abilities we need to have to achieve something big in our life? So this is my question, ma'am.
So this is a really interesting question, Samiksha, and I've never really thought about it. I'm a really day-to-day person. In fact, my children might say I'm only hour to hour. So I can barely find, mental bandwidth to think beyond an hour. So I really think, what Raviji has been saying all along, you need to find yourself, trust yourself, and take a step at a time. And I think that's the biggest preparation you can make for life. Now I'm 60 plus and I look back on my life, and actually everything I learned was learned bringing up the kids. And, it was an area where I made a lot of mistakes, but I had to learn very quickly because, when you make a mistake, when you're doing something with your child, it reflects back immediately. That feedback loop is very short and it's very intense. So I think one of the main things, trust yourself. If something is coming from your gut, then believe that there is a reason for it. If you can't find the reason, take that first step and the reason will come. Yeah. Does that answer your question, or do you want me to sort of add to it?
I think there's some internet issue there.
Yeah.
So you can come back on the response through the chat. The next question comes from Joshini Sri. S for Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar. Joshini, please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. I'm really honored to ask this question. And my question is to Ravi, sir. Since teens are now more prone to use digital gadgets, what do you think that every teen, each and every teen, should be aware about their digital health? That's my question.
Very, very interesting question indeed. We run a program called the Birds in the Beanstalk in whole of northeast of India with around 4 million kids. This is one of the primary discussion what we do with the kids. How much to get exposed to and how much not. This for the benefit of all the teen MPs. Happy to share the curriculum with the organizers, and they can hand it over to you, all the materials which are available in the public domain too. But definitely we need to be very careful. And I don't know, are we aware of the child protection etc. and the other things. Nowadays, there is a lot of cyberbullying. There is a lot of lewd comments which actually people pass. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of elders, there are a lot of adults who follow young kids for different reasons. We all need to be very, very careful. And we have to take the conversations beyond good touch and bad touch. We really need to think very carefully. Digital space is good space. We need to be digital savvy, but at what age and how much? So what's the screen time? This 18 months in COVID has made most of the kids very clingy because they had two friends. One is their parents and second is a gadget. So although like houses are nearby, but friends were missing. So this is a time to build the friendships in the real world and playing, giving time to play, to sports, and limiting time for the digital part, and rest all like, it's very subjective to explain, but this is what I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much for answering my question, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. The next question comes from MP Shivansh Kumar Raj. Shivansh, over to you. Please unmute yourself. Okay, I think Shivansh is not there. The next question comes from Sanvi Arora. Sanvi, if you're there, you can unmute yourself. Okay, so we are nearly at the end of this complete session because it's nearly 9 p.m. now. There are still a lot of questions that a lot of teams want to ask, but I cannot, give them all the time. It's the last 5 minutes. So before this,
I have kids also in the shelter home to whom I have to say good night before I go.
Absolutely. So thank you so much to both our guests for taking out the time today. Before the session comes to an end, all the members of Parliament and the World Teen Parliament, all the teenagers, before we go off this, in the last 1 month that they were there and they started doing different initiatives, one of the initiatives did very good work. And they would like to present their work in front of you in a small span where they'll tell you what did they do, how many people did they reach, what did they talk about, what was their topic. So then I welcome Sejal Garg for giving a small, quick update about their project, what all did they do in the project, and then we'll conclude the session for today. Sejal, over to you.
So good evening, everyone. Good evening, Ravi sir. Good evening, ma'am. It is such a great honor to be able to speak on this occasion among such amazing personalities. So I am Sejal Garg from Delhi Public School, Chandigarh, and I was the leader of the 4th MP group in the World Teen Parliament. And I, along with my team members who were Mehnaz, Manya, Moksha, Nikesh, Preksha, Kishan, Sara, Shagun, and Shivanshi, we all organized a campaign which was pertaining to mental health. So, there is a Sanskrit shloka which says, Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah. So it means, may everyone be happy and may everyone be free from illness. And it is quite related to what our campaign was about. So our campaign, it revolved around improving the mental and psychological health of teenagers and breaking the stigma that surrounded mental health. And we did this by organizing a workshop named Meliora, under which 3 webinars were conducted by 3 experienced doctors. Our goal was to connect with teens from age 13 to 18 and create awareness about mental illnesses, therapy methods, and tips on overcoming procrastination and such. We also simultaneously created a safe and interactive server, a community for teens on Discord. And here the teens were given a chance to express themselves through art and interact and connect with people of their age. So with our team's stupendous efforts, we were able to get more than 75 teenagers to register for the workshop. And after our 1 month journey ended, we all felt a strong sense of accomplishment. So throughout this journey, we as a team learned a lot. We learned cooperation. We learned the appreciation of the contributions and unique personalities of each and every member. So Meliora, it started out as a single workshop for us all, but we want to push it further by continuing all of our future campaigns under this name. There are still so many important issues, many of which you and Sir highlighted, that we still want to address in the coming months. And in the future, this name, Meliora, will act as a binding factor for all of our campaigns. And it will ensure that all our plans have a common aim, and that is that they all will be for the pursuit of the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Sejal. So all the teen parliamentarians in their groups are working every month on the issues that they think would improve the world around them. Before the session comes to an end, one final word, a small little statement for our teen MPs at the World Teen Parliament from Nandita ma'am first and then from Ravi sir. Nandita ma'am, over to you.
Sejal, really impressed with the work you and your team did on mental health. It is truly important, and Ravi ji, you alluded to it in your conversation about COVID and how people dealt with that time and the mental health issues that it has left. It's really very important that we focus on that and we remove the stigma against talking about it. To the rest of you, all of you have asked questions which have, forced me to think a lot. And I love that and would love to keep interacting more and more with you. Keep thinking, keep asking questions. Ravi ji, Daksh, thank you, for being there, Ravi ji. Great to hear your thoughts. Just amazing. Guys, you've got a great, person to follow, in the footsteps of. Ravi ji has done amazing work. And his thinking, I have to pay homage to that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks.
Over to Ravi sir for your concluding statement.
First of all, thank you, Daksh, for having me here. We have been in touch. Like, I was in Almora around 6-7 months back, and then we started the conversations. I'm very grateful to you. Like, you have chosen me. Like, you have carefully chosen these 100 guys on the other side of the screen in the cloud. And I enjoyed all the questions. They're very intelligent and very impressive questions. That's a first proof of the pudding, like how the questions are. The questions are really intelligent, and each one of you actually deserve a very huge round of applause. Last but not the least, Sejal, some very impressive work what you have put together along with your team members. Kudos to all of you. Do well, shine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, all the MPs. Thank you so much, Nandita ma'am, Ravi sir, for taking out the time this evening on this weekend. I hope teenagers and all the teen MPs keep doing a lot more work. I hope you're still encouraged, have that power to run through the whole course of the World Teen Parliament for the one whole next year. Keep doing good work. At the end of the year, we hope that we're able to take your voice to some of the most important global forums across the world so that you're really able to at least influence policies that influence teenagers across the world. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and being a part of the third parliamentary session of the World Teen Parliament. Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend ahead. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.